All right, welcome to Math 10 A&W with Mr. Sandhu. We are in chapter 1.5 in your Mathworks workbook, and we're on page 59. We're starting a new skill. We're working with exchange rates. So an exchange rate is the price of one country's currency in terms of another country's currency. You guys are familiar with the idea that in America, they have American dollars. Here we have Canadian dollars, and we all understand that right now the American dollar is stronger. So if we want to buy something that's in the USA, we can't pay the price that it says. If it says $100, right now the dollar's pretty weak compared to them. So we'd actually have to pay about $1.60 of our money to buy $1 of theirs. So if there's an item that's $100, it's going to cost us $160 by the time we do our exchange, plus shipping, plus duties at the border. So it's made it really hard for us to buy anything from the US right now. Okay, so we're going to actually work with calculating these exchange rates and understanding what it costs to buy currency from other countries. So let's give you an example here. Lucas is a glazier who operates a window installation business. He regularly travels to the United States to buy supplies. Before traveling, he converts $500 Canadian into American dollars for personal expenses. If one Canadian dollar is worth 0.94192 of an American dollar, how many American dollars will Lucas receive in exchange for $500? So if we look at this, just right off the bat, it says one Canadian dollar is not even worth $1 American. So our dollar's worth less. Now that's not bad actually, 94 cents. Because right now it's way worse than that. Okay, so we can, just looking at this, you guys, you can get the sense that he's not going to get 500 American dollars when he does the exchange, because his dollar's not worth as much. He's not going to have 500 American. He's going to have less than 500 American, just a bit less. You can just sort of see that happening. But let's actually do a conversion. Now, if you look at the solution that's given here, they are doing a multiplication, and I do not recommend this solution. All right, this solution here works. It's mathematically correct, but what's going to happen to you guys in this course is you're going to look at an exchange rate and you're going to say, do I multiply or do I divide? And if you've done this enough, you'll know which one to do. But a lot of times students aren't sure whether you multiply or divide by the 0.94192. And you'll get the wrong answer. So what we will do instead of guessing or in doing it intuitively is we're just going to set up a proportion, and it will work every single time. With the proportion, you're going to make sure that you have, if you're going to have, say, let's say US dollars on top and Canadian on the bottom, then you have to make sure that you have US on top and Canadian on the bottom. It would not matter at all if we did the same proportion, with the same numbers, and we had Canadian on top, USA on the bottom, as long as it's Canadian on top and USA on the bottom. Okay? Either of these two setups is going to work. It doesn't matter which one you choose, but the one setup that will not work is USA on the top, Canadian on the bottom, Canadian on top, USA on the bottom. It will not work because these aren't going to be true statements in most situations. Maybe the odd situation it will be a true statement, but 99.9% of the time this is going to cause you big problems. So don't do that. Alright, so let's do it. Let me prove to you that you can use either of these two setups and that you will always get the right answer. Let's take a look at what we have for information. All right, we have this here says if one Canadian dollar is worth 0.9412 of an American dollar, we can write an exchange rate. This line here, they have written an exchange rate. Sometimes you're going to be given an exchange rate, but in this case, they're just giving you a sentence that you can turn to an exchange rate. And it says $1 Canadian is equal to 0.94192 US. That's your exchange rate. And we're going to use both of these pieces of information. And then the question is asking, in terms of what we want to find, how much is 500 Canadian dollars? So I'm just going to simply place into my formula, these two items on one side of the equal sign, this item, what we're trying to find on the other side, and then we'll throw a variable in. Here's what it looks like. I'm going to put, and it doesn't matter what I put on top, I'm going to put $1 Canadian compared to 0.94192 US, okay? Or $1 Canadian equal is the same as 0.91492 US. And on this side, I'm going to just make sure that I'm going to put this piece of information in the right spot, okay? It's going to go on top because the Canadians are on top. So let's put the 500 up here and the unknown amount of US dollars down here, okay? US dollars. And it's simple. We see X, across from the X will be the divisor, and these two will be the multipliers. Yeah, that's why I was insisting at the beginning of this course that you learn how to do this skill, because it just keeps coming up. All right, so it's going to be, X will be equal to these two multiplied, 500 times 0.94192, all divided by the 1. I'm not even going to bother showing dividing by 1 because it's redundant to show that that's going to be divided by 1. It doesn't help us, it's just a waste of time. So let's not even bother showing that. And let's just multiply these together. So as a result, we are going to get 470.96 when you multiply those together. And basically, that's what they did anyways. If you take a look at this line right here, they simply multiplied, okay? They multiplied these two amounts, the 9.94192 multiplied by 500. Well, that's what we did here as well. This person who did this math knew that multiplication was the operation. They just knew by looking at the question. And if you know that for a fact, fine. I'm not going to mark it wrong. But if you don't know it 100% which way to go, and you're not sure whether you divide or multiply, just set up a proportion, and it will eventually automatically do a multiplication or a division based on what's appropriate. It'll just place everything in the right spot for you. Make sense? Alrighty then.